Hello, welcome to Concepts of Cloud. Earlier, we have learned how to configure an application load balancer. In this video, we will learn about cross-zone load balancing. As name suggests, in cross-zone load balancing, load would be balancing between resources hosted in more than one availability zone. Let us try to understand this with the help of a flowing diagram. Here, in this scenario, we have resources hosted in two availability zones. Now, let's assume client's traffic to be 100%. To balance the load, 50% of traffic will come to this availability zone and 50% of traffic will come to this availability zone. Since we are in cross-zone load balancing, so out of 10 resources, here EC2 instance is our resources. Each of the EC2 instance will get 10% of the traffic which is coming from client. So even though this load balancer is getting 50% of traffic, it will only send 10% of traffic to these two EC2 instances. But this is not the case where cross-zone load balancing is not happening. Here, out of 100% traffic which is sending this client, this load balancer is getting 50%, which is equally dividing that 50% of traffic to these two EC2 instances. So, these two EC2 instances are getting 25% of the traffic which is coming from client. But in this availability zone, since it is not a cross-zone load balancing, so this 50% of traffic is equally divided to this 8 instances. That is why all the instances are getting 6.25% of traffic only. Hence, we can determine here in this availability zone, 2 resources are getting 25%, and out of 8 resources, each resource is getting 6.25% of the traffic. This cross-zone load balancing is enabled by default for application load balancer and disabled for network load balancer and gateway load balancer. Let me show you this in AWS Console. I am in my AWS Console and have opened EC2 dashboard. Here in left side we can see load balancers. I already have created two load balancer. One is application load balancer and one is network load balancer. To check if cross-zone load balancing is enabled by default or not, select the load balancer and go to attributes. Here we can see that cross-zone load balancing is on. It means for this load balancer, cross-zone load balancing will happen. Similarly, we can check for network load balancer. Select the network load balancer and go to attributes. Here we can see cross-zone load balancing is off. For application load balancer, this cross-zone load balancing is free of cost. But for network and gateway load balancer, if there will be transfer of data across the availability zone, then we would be charged for that. So we should be careful which load balancing we are using and whether we have enabled this cross-zone load balancing or not. I hope this video was informative for you. I know this was a short video, but I just wanted you guys to know about this cross-zone load balancing. We'll see you in another video. Till then, keep learning,